So Thailand launched an airstrike on Cambodia, and people are blaming Trump for that. Now, I know that Trump sort of stepped in back in July when they were having a spat and some dozens of people died in some border dispute, which they've been having for decades. I don't know why Team America, World Police had to jump in there. Like, I don't know why Trump had to do that. It doesn't make any sense to me why we're doing that, unless it's some geopolitical thing, some CIA thing. I have no idea why we're over there getting involved in their border disputes. But I understand why a lot of left wingers are lashing out at Trump for this, because he has said some very outlandish things about, how he's going to create a global peace and utopia or whatever kind of silly stuff he said. Like he was going to end all the wars the second he becomes president or whatever. Like I get that they're latching onto that, and I can't blame them for that. I do blame them for acting as if this is Trump's fault when these are two countries that are on the other side of the planet that don't really have anything to do with the USA aside from anything we might import from them. But I don't really blame them for getting mad at Trump. I just wanted to say, like, why are we even engaged in this? Like, why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
Moving on to the more important thing. Immigrants approved for citizenship plucked out of line moments before pledging allegiance. Report. I don't think it's probably quite as hyperbolic as they said. Like they were in the middle of saying, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States," and then the spooks rolled up and shoved them in the van and they disappeared. It's probably not quite like that. What happened was they were having their citizenship, their naturalization finalized, and some of the people who were from the 19 countries that the Trump administration deemed high risk, were then disallowed from becoming citizens. And people are very mad about this, to the point where they are making up lies. Well, I mean, they do that anyway, but they're saying, like, remember when conservatives suggested that anyone wanting to immigrate to America should do it the right way? There's a lot of people saying that, like, they should be allowed to do it the legal way, blah, blah, blah. Evil. Evil. But this is scary. What's scary about it exactly? Anyway, the point is, some people, a very small number of people, they don't even list the number, or at least I couldn't find a number anywhere, were disallowed from becoming a citizen. And the response is basically pity and accusations. You can see here Elizabeth Sweet, executive director of Miro, which is Massachusetts group that's in favor of immigrants and refugees. I can't remember exactly what is it called? Massachusetts Immigration and Refugee Advocacy Coalition. Right. She's here saying, as an immigrant takes the oath of citizenship, it's a reflection and recognition of the tremendous sacrifice of time, energy, and financial resources they have made in the hopes of becoming a full member of our community and nation. To have the final step canceled is unnecessarily cruel and does nothing to make this country a safer place. Well, you don't know anything about the person, so you don't really have any way of saying that. I mean, they could be a terrorist, they could be a spy, they could be a lunatic. The only thing it means is that they've passed some sort of test to get into the country. I mean, you yourself say it. They spent time, energy, and financial resources to benefit their own life, right? To join this country, to join a first world superpower country, they spent their time, energy, and financial resources to better their own life. They weren't working out of an orphanage. They weren't working for a charity. They weren't, I don't know, donating blood or like giving up a kidney or something. They were giving up their time, energy, and money to make their own life better. So let's not pretend that this is something more moral than it is. It's unfortunate for them. It's unfair to them, but at the same time, this happened because of immigrants, bad immigrants. And you're sitting here saying that it's unnecessarily cruel and does nothing to make the country a safer place. So then you mean that every immigrant must be good? That there's no such thing as a bad immigrant? That the illegal aliens and stuff, like there's no possibility of our country capsizing from having too many immigrants, from ideologies like building up and people forming their own enclaves? This isn't a negative thing for, I mean, it's a provably negative thing. It's a provably negative thing that's affected many countries, not just this one. Is it fair to these people? No, it's not fair. Life isn't fair, and here's the reality. A bunch of bad actors, bad immigrants, illegal aliens, etc., created a scenario where the presidential administration had to do something about immigrants, and what they have temporarily done is made 19 countries incapable of joining the USA, and that has totally screwed over these people who may well be really good people and they'd be really great neighbors to have, great citizens, but they got screwed. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. What I'm saying is that how can you make an exception for one person? Like what? How can you like filter through them all and say, oh well, we'll make an exception for you specifically, but maybe not for other people from your country. You can't. So then you have to say, well, everyone gets to join, but you can't do that either because there's restrictions in place. So then you're just saying, well, anyone can join no matter what. Period. The end. And that's basically what the left wing is saying: is that open the doors, throw out the welcome mat, anyone gets to join. The end. Everyone in the entire world is a good person, except for Americans. As you see here, only 1 in 3 citizens, U.S. citizens, could pass this test themselves. And yet, the government is telling them that they'll never be American enough due to the place they happen to be born. Well, yeah, certain countries are risk factors. Are you saying that you would let someone from, oh, I don't know, Moscow naturalize into the USA right now in 2025? Are you saying that? Are you saying that would, like, you just allow all the Russians over, all the Israelis over, all the Chinese over? And all the Democrats would be cool with that, right? They'd be totally cool with all of these people from these countries that they hate coming over into the country, into our country, and naturalizing, and no questions asked, right? Hey, it doesn't matter what country you're from. That's ridiculous. You don't know who they are. They could be a spy, they could be a terrorist, they could just be a bad person. But hey, why have any kind of restriction, right? I mean, what other arbitrary categories will we start basing U.S. citizenship on? They ask. Race, class, sex. Clearly not being born here. That's already in the crosshairs. Well, it's in the crosshairs if you happen to be born here from illegal immigrants or some other such nonsense that where you're not a legal citizen. We're saying that you can't have any restriction. Is that what we're saying? At all, nothing. Everyone's allowed. It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. And by the way, I'm going to make a video on the naturalization process itself because this is a bad faith argument. Joining the USA is way too easy. It's way too easy. You read 1 of 3 sentences, you write 1 of 3 sentences, and you answer a few questions. And you want to know why only 1 in 3 U.S. citizens can pass the test? It's because the questions, the civics questions that you have to answer, are completely meaningless. Total garbage. Basically, you're presented civics questions that you're supposed to memorize. You memorize them, you do the test, and you forget them immediately afterwards, just like you would in school. They are not things that make you better citizens. It's like knowing how many amendments there are, knowing crap like that, knowing historical battles. This is what the questions are. Okay? So, yeah, most U.S. citizens can't pass it, especially because they're sort of randomized to begin with. You can answer some of the questions, but not all of them, because it's not information that people need to know. So it's just a bad faith take anyway, and that's what extremists do. They present an unfair, half-assed argument and make that the truth. You can go through all this and you'll see that it doesn't make any sense. Like, obviously people calling them the bad guys and such, but repeatedly comments about doing it the right way. They keep saying that as if it's a gotcha, but it's not even related because this is a presidential ban of certain countries that disallow certain other countries. It's not the same thing. You can still come to America the right way, and this comment here highlights this. The only immigrants the current administration has let in was white South Africans, so I hope that answers your question about what criteria they're looking for. Well, according to the article that this is taken from, they didn't stop the people from joining the country, from becoming a citizen, from naturalizing. They just stopped certain people who were from the 19 countries classified as high risk. So here you have Gail Breslow, Executive Director of Project Citizenship, a nonprofit that helps immigrants apply for citizenship, told WGBH that many of her clients received cancellation notices for their citizenship ceremonies and appointments, but for many it was too little too late. Quote, people were plucked out of line. They didn't cancel the whole ceremony, she said as of December 4th. So some people were still made. So you're saying that all of those people were white South Africans? I'm betting the slightest amount of research would prove that to be wrong. And I found this on ABC News when I was just looking up stuff about this particular incident. And you can see a picture here that they've provided. It says, new citizens wave flags during a naturalization ceremony where nearly 200 people from 54 different countries became United States citizens at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library, dated November 18th, 2025 in Boston. Look at those white South Africans there, huh? Yeah, I could see a few people who aren't white, and I guess that probably disproves what some random Redditor said, which was a baseless accusation against not just Trump, but the entire American government. That brings us to this. The church saying love the stranger even if ICE doesn't. I don't know if this sign's real or not, but I've seen quite a lot of these. There's one below it that says, do to the least what you do to me, in regards to ICE specifically. So they're trying to gaslight ICE here, say like you're a Satanist if you're going to do this to them because you're also doing it to the church. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to mean. The thing is, the church is willing to call you a Nazi if you're not on their side, because it's some of the churches, because they're taking the Democrat side, and this is a very bad sign to me for religion to take sides, especially when it's the same religion taking different sides in the same country. That's a very bad sign. A lot of bad things are going to happen because of that. But what I want to say to the church, who's calling me a Nazi for not being a hyper left-winger, is that the left wing, they'll throw you under the bus instantaneously. They call the church cultists all the time. They say you're good Christians if you do what they say you should do, but the second you don't, they will call you a cultist, and they'll call you a Nazi and predators, and they do it all the time. Their favorite thing is seeing some pastor get charged for being a predator or whatever. And look here. This is an example of what Christianity is supposed to be. A Redditor, a nobody, telling you what you're allowed to be, what you're allowed to do, what God you're allowed to worship, what rules from your God are allowed to exist. That's what Reddit is. That's what the left wing is. And if you attach yourself to that, well, the second you step on their toes, they'll cut you down. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.